Helen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. You talk about parenting in these days, the pressure on our young people today is unlike anything I would have felt at their age.
Yeah.
I will forever be grateful to those students who are courageous enough to question me and say, do you actually think I care about this? It actually made me question, what am I doing here? Come to know those that you serve, because when you do that, your work will actually matter. What do you want written on your tombstone 100 years from now when your time has passed and you've left this profession?
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the next episode of the Learn It podcast, one that I've been very excited for. Helen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. What an honor.
Yeah, I'm particularly excited about this one because I think, Helen, you're one of those people that, I've been in this office twice, but I've always felt a good energy. And I think when I look around, it's very easy to see how much people love you, especially kids. And I think that's just a natural testament to who you are. So I'm really excited for the guests to get to know you as well.
Thank you.
For the listeners to learn from you. But thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This, I would say that the office probably embodies the culture and the sentiment of the school, not just me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a place that you feel immediately when you walk in. And so it makes me feel good that you actually kind of feel the energy of HTS every time you get to be here with us.
Yeah.
So
why don't we start there? Take us, what was your first day at HTS like? So when you walked into this office, what was it like your first day here?
As head of school or deputy head?
As head of school.
Okay, as head of school, I made a transition. I was very, very fortunate that I have been at HTS for 11 years. I made the transition from being the deputy head here to the head of school.
Right, yeah.
And so I knew the school, I knew our students, I knew our staff, I knew our families, and I had come to know alumni. And so being in a place of knowing allows you to feel very, very different than, my next adventure where I'm going somewhere across the world and I haven't come to know that community yet.
Yeah.
And so, you're anxious, but so deeply excited as well. And so for me, this HTS has always felt like a place of community, a place of care, of warmth, of kindness.
Yeah.
And that continues to be the sentiment that I hope anybody who visits or who's here continues to feel when you come in. It's a place that even when I walked in 11 years ago for the very first time, I had kids open the door for me and say, "Good morning." I'm like, wow, that energy, that kindness, you couldn't help but be drawn to it. Yeah. And so that's the sentiment it felt. It felt like somebody just gave me a big hug without actually giving me a big hug. But this place embodies a big hug.
Would you say that it's sort of in your world the North Star for any school to be at? And I ask that because sometimes I find that in life we like to take on new challenges because maybe you feel like you've reached a peak and you're like, you know what, I got to take something else and bring it to that peak as well. In some ways, does HTS feel like that North Star for you?
We have been on an incredible journey to create a space where every single human being, whether you're adult or young, you feel seen, you feel you're known by somebody or more than one person, and that you have a voice in this place. And so I would say that is a North Star. And so has HTS arrived? Does every child feel that all the time here? No, not yet. Not yet. But to actually live to that every human being that's in here, whether you're adult or young, so teachers, parents, alumni, a visitor like yourself, Gerard, that you come in here and someone's going to be kind to you, is going to take the time to know you, is going to take the time to hear you and listen, and see you for who you are, and all of our beautiful multifacetedness is, I would say, is the North Star for any school, is that you create a place where you're known and you belong.
Yeah.
And cultures of belonging come from relationships. And I'm a true believer that all learning is relational. And if you're not in relationship, whether it's with concepts or problems or challenges or people, you aren't really learning to the depth that needs to transform you. And so it starts with that.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to come to terms with that, to say, you know what, it's the in the moment where things are really difficult, we look at that at its surface.
Yeah.
And then once we get through that and we find the other side, we're like, oh my God, thank God I went through that, So in the moment, sometimes it's hard to recognize that those challenges are what are shaping our growth in such a significant way.
That's most of the time, right?
Exactly.
And you only realize it much later. But I think when you have a great relationship with, the people that you're surrounded by and you're in those challenging moments, coming to see what you're learning in that process can sometimes be easier than if you're walking that alone and making sense of it alone. But of course, the human spirit is that the opportunity to reflect back always gives us the wisdom that we couldn't see when we were in it. But if we can reflect and continue in that journey and never stop, that doesn't deter us from going through it. So, that still being in it, sitting in that challenge, and then being wise enough to say, okay, what did I learn from that?
Yeah.
Because we don't do that all the time either. There are moments, right, where you're like, I actually do not want to look back.
Never again. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm ready to run and keep running.
That's me in my physics high school, physics class for me.
That might have been math for me. Although now I'm like, I'm okay now. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Absolutely.
To be able to sit in that math class and sit in that problem. But it takes you're absolutely right. It takes you living it and having the courage to look back and reflect and say, what did I learn? That introspective space that we should all be in, and that, reflection that the world demands of us right now to be good people, I think is where wisdom flourishes.
Absolutely.
And where hindsight, it informs that for us. I said, so for me, it's like, how do we continue to encourage and allow young people to say, I know it's hard right now, and honor that. It is hard.
It is, yeah.
There are some things that aren't easy, but sit alongside of them to say, now take a look at what you've done.
Yeah, take a moment to think about it,
take a moment, like what was hard about it, and help them uncover that. Is probably one of the greatest gifts we have in education is that uncovering.
Yeah, it's a gift to be in this industry. I say that every day.
I agree. And a deep privilege.
Yeah.
But it also comes with great responsibility.
Great part comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
There you go. No, I love that. And can you also, one of the things I would love for you to share is sort of, what it was like growing up. Because, I grew up in a school system that was significantly different than what I operate or look at today.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to your childhood? Even I would love to know, like, what would your teachers have described you as? Like, what would they say? What would they say that little Helen was like?
You ready for this?
I am, yeah.
Well, so I'm an immigrant to Canada. We have a beautiful immigrant story. My parents immigrated here from Portugal with two children at first. We went back. My mother had my brother, and then three of us came and we settled. And so our immigrant journey was one of sacrifice. It was one of deep love from parents who worked so hard to fulfill a dream, which was the immigrant dream of my kids. I'm coming here for a better life for my children. And their hard work, the fact that they never stopped learning. My dad, learned new trades. He was a carpenter. He would learn new trades in order to be able to advance in his own professional. My mother took on new jobs, learned the language, helped us with our homework. Even if she didn't understand it, she sat there next to us and you knew you couldn't get away without doing your homework before you moved anywhere. That deep love for the fact that you have to work hard, you have to earn everything that you have, I would say shapes who I am as a human being, and that work ethic I have, and that passion to, keep striving because, the harder you work for it, good things will come. Nothing bad's going to come from learning.
Yeah.
My mother used to say, people can take a lot of things from you, but they cannot take away your education. So never stop learning. And that's always stuck with me. And, not necessarily to become a teacher, but it always stuck with me that I haven't arrived yet.
Right.
So there's an element of me who's never settled. I'm never settled.
Yeah.
I always want to do something new. I always want to try something new. And I think that comes from them encouraging me to always look for opportunity, always look for ways to learn, to grow, to contribute, to give back.
Yeah.
And so that part shaped me. In school, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. My teachers would probably say that I was loud.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same. So at least we have that in common,
I talked a lot. I ask a lot of annoying questions. And frankly, actually, I bet you my colleagues would probably say she still does that today. I asked a lot of questions. I was curious. I loved school. I love school. not just for the pursuit of knowledge and learning, but I loved it because it was a safe place socially.
Yeah.
And so it was a place where I could, come to learn and make friends and stuff like that. And of course, as you grow, that gets more complicated. So by the time you get to middle school, high school was not a great experience for me. Not because of all the people, it's because I was coming to discover who I was.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it was just hard. And I think it's hard for so many people. And then through that journey and stuff, finally going to university, which was the greatest thing my parents could have, asked of me. Finally going off to university, then it was just this freedom to explore. And this, I had great professors who I could ask a question to any time, and they were so open and willing to be in that dialogue with me. And so it allowed me to always, to come with curiosity, but then to always come with creativity. And my creativity might not be artistic. My creativity is in my thinking. And I think that's been because of the fact that I've had parents who foster that in our home. Right. They fostered curiosity. They fostered us being able to shape, figure it out. You've got to figure it out. I can't help you. My mom couldn't speak the language. It's like, you guys have to figure this out. What do you need to do? And so in that constant pursuit of figuring things out and that ability to have my own agency as a young person to solve problems, to think of new solutions, spurs your own creativity in ideation and thinking about things and thinking about the world. And that continued through high school, that continued through university, and it continues in my adult life and the conversations I get to have with people, courses I read. I'm constantly trying to learn new things from all over the world, from different cultures, different perspectives, different theories. And so I think part of that has been my journey as not only as an immigrant and this responsibility that my parents left everything. Yeah. So you better do something with your life. Yeah. So you kind of have that. Hold on, But the work ethic, the responsibility to give back, to do something for yourself and work hard for it, I say has also shaped how I've gotten to who I am today and the way I showed up in school, the way I show up at work, in my relationships. I think those things are all pretty important. And humility.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And I think, my parents never got to go to university. My dad had to leave when he was in grade 10 to move to Africa, to work, to earn money. My mom got married at a young age. When I went to university, it was like the first time someone was doing that. And I figured it out, I didn't know how the laundry machine worked, but I figured it out. A part of me also feels that helped me grow so much. But another part of me says, am I kind of concerned that if I ever have kids, that I wouldn't give them that level of figure it out? Because I would want to be there to solve that problem for them. Now, how do you think about that from a parenting perspective? Because you want your kids to kind of go through those things.
Kind of do, but they're not going to.
Go through. But then you have this emotional thing that says, why? I could just do this for them. I could help them. How do you balance that?
Yeah. I think that is a question for our time. I think parents all over the world are confronted right now with really unique moments. Moments in that the complexity of our child's lives are so different than the complexity of ours. So for my parents, they had to teach me to survive in the way of, you need money to get a job if you want to buy those nice shoes. We can't afford them.
Right.
So you need to get a job so that you have responsibility, because those luxuries are not something that we could have. You need to get a job so you can help pay for, your university so that you can continue all of those. So for us, the complexity of our life, yes, there was nuances in relationships that you had to figure out, but it was also about survival in a way.
Right. Yeah. Different mindset.
It's about just
completely.
you have to figure it out so that you can survive. So if I didn't go away for university. It wasn't something my parents could afford to provide me. And so I commuted back and forth. But if I wanted to commute and I wanted to drive my dad's car, well, I had to pay for gas. Or I had to pay, if I wanted to get a nice outfit, they could help. They were helping me pay for my tuition. But then all those other luxuries, which today there's a generation of kids that's not a luxury. Like having a nice outfit is just normal. Having a fancy bag. Well, this is the default. So, what's different for me is that I want my children to understand hard work. I want them to understand that they have to work for what they want in this life, that it's not going to be handed to them.
Yeah.
But to your point, some things are handed to them. So how do you juggle that, right? And I think for me, it's in what I ask of them and how I hold them responsible to the things that I need them to do. So if, they have a responsibility at home.
Yeah.
And I've asked them, I need you guys to clean up the kitchen. I need you to do this for me. I'm running in late. Can you prep dinner?
Yeah.
And then I get home and I realize that they've stayed home and all they've done all day was play video games and talk on the phone with their friends.
Yeah.
And I don't hold them accountable for that. Then I haven't taught them the value of that work to contribute to our family.
Yeah.
To contribute to the greater good. And that's on me, right? So holding them accountable is a way that for me as a parent, I can give them, there's a responsibility that you have to this family, to this collective good, to yourselves.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to fulfill that. I'll give you a perfect story. I remember when I have two girls, when they were little, one of them came home and said, I don't want to do my homework. This is so dumb. I don't want to do this. I don't want. I said, that's great. Can you put a note in your teacher's agenda and tell her that you don't want to do your homework? No, Mommy, you write it. You write her a note. Tell her I wasn't feeling good at night. No.
Right.
That's not my responsibility to do your homework.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not my responsibility to lie to your teacher. If you don't want to do it, that's okay. You're going to take responsibility for your choice.
Yeah.
She was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I said,
she was like, that's not what my friends' parents do.
Well, yeah. Well, and so it's those little
moments
we
like
have
that.
to pay attention to how we're teaching our kids in the moments that are real for them.
Yeah.
I could have absolutely written a note and said, okay, that's okay. You don't have to do the homework, and put a note and no one would know any different.
Yeah.
But then I would have taught her
that it's easy to do that.
That it's easy. You don't want to do something, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Here, I'll get you off the hook. Well, what lesson would I have taught her?
Yeah.
And I think those are lessons our parents taught us through necessity.
But a different way of teaching the same lesson.
But now I have to teach that same lesson through reflection. So that my child can understand the connection between you making this decision and you owning the responsibility for your decision. Whereas for us, you didn't do it. Your teacher actually went and called your parents and said, she didn't do her homework. She's getting a 0.
Yeah. Yeah. And
your parents are humiliated.
Yeah.
And embarrassed in that moment.
Yeah.
Because it was just a different experience at that time. So I think we can teach the same lessons, even though our children today are in such a different privileged place than I know for me than I was at that time. But I also remind them of our roots.
Yeah.
And how the hard work it took to get here and sacrifices that they took to get here. And that my sacrifices looked one way.
Yeah.
But they better be prepared that their sacrifices might look just a little bit different than mine. But you're still going to have to sacrifice if you want to achieve things in life. You're going to have to be responsible. If people are going to trust you and you're going to walk through this earth with integrity, you're still going to own your choices.
Yeah.
And so I just have to teach the lessons in a different way because they do have privilege that, a generation before them, at least in our case. And in your case, it sounds like you didn't have.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but that is, I think, a parenting question that's generational because truly up until this point that we see right now in human history, every generation has had it better off.
Yeah.
And we're confronted with that a little bit right now in human history. And I think our kids do have it better off in so many ways. But then in other ways, where community was central to your survival.
Yeah.
Our children don't see that the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot more complexity around social,
All of those. And what it means to be in community is so different and complex that it's just nuanced a little bit differently, but it doesn't mean the same lessons don't exist for our children.
Yeah.
We just have to pay attention very differently.
No, I really like that. I mean, I remember once I came out of and this was my final exam out of high school. And I'm preparing to go to my IB final.
Oh, your IB finals.
Right?
Okay.
Never shared this publicly.
Stress
but
with everybody.
IB final, right? I go and write my English paper. And I'm a good student at that point, I'm I'm trying my best, right? But I came out of the exam realizing I wrote the answer to the wrong section. On my final English exam, which was my higher level in IB, not my standard level. And I thought to myself, well, this is it, I'm just I'm done. No university for me, nothing. that I remember that so vividly because I remember sitting in the car and my dad always picked me up from work. And I was the type of kid that wouldn't share much. But I couldn't hold it in me. It was too much weight. Too much weight. I just told my dad, I'm sorry. I think I messed up. I wrote the wrong question and I don't think I'm going to pass. First of all, my dad's super funny. So he says, it's okay, I'm the same way. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for, Dad.
But it was what you needed at that moment just to kind of calm you down.
My dad's like, if it make you feel better, I dropped out in grade 10. I'm like, that. I don't know if that makes me feel better. But my dad said that things happen for a reason, right? And he said that if you let one thing determine your attitude, the way that you react, the way that you think about things, it will continue to define you. And my dad always said that you're lucky because God is doing this to you at an early age.
Yeah.
Usually we learn these lessons later on. So, I look up to my dad a lot because he has been through stuff I can never imagine myself going through. And he still lives life like it's magical every day. And to me, that experience was like, it was just a test of how I react. And when we got our results, I ended up getting the second highest in the school because the person that graded me decided to be nice and said, you know what, I don't want to dock away the whole exam. And they decided to grade me on that and I did well.
Amazing.
And the whole summer I was just like, stressed about it, but the outcome of it was fine. And it's often like, those type of experiences, they're defining moments. But I think those moments are where like someone who's a parental figure to you, they play such an important role in taking that weight away or helping 100%. You get through it. I always remember it even till today.
It offers perspective.
Yeah.
That their wisdom and their life journey offers us a perspective. It's so amazing. I've been meeting with every grad. Just to share a connection.
Yeah.
I've been meeting with every grad and I've been doing this for years. I meet with every graduate, just have one final conversation with them before they leave HTS. And my question to them is always, knowing what you know today, you've journeyed for 4 years, you've gone through high school, you're going to you're going to start your next chapter. If you could go back and give your grade 9 self advice, what would you say to that grade 9 version of yourself? And it's the same advice your dad gave you, but just differently. The kids are like, well, they'll use language like it's not that deep.
Yeah.
And that's become my new favorite line.
It's not that deep, yeah.
It's become my new favorite line because I'm like, oh, I kind of like this line. It's like, it's amazing. But the truth of the matter is that all of them talk about the fact that I started grade 9 so worried that every single little thing mattered. I was so afraid to make mistakes. I was so afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
If I could go back, I would tell myself that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it's not one thing that's going to define you, just as your dad said. So there's just I make a beautiful connection to the wisdom that your dad could share because of his life experience and knowing. And that one thing, like you look back today and you're like, oh, right, even if I failed it, it wasn't going to define me.
Absolutely.
Right? And so to be able to have that partnership, whether it's a parent, whether it's an educator, whether it's a friend, or you have an elder that's part of your life that gives you that perspective is so key for anybody in their life's journey. Because I often say to the grade 12s now, I said, okay, so by the time you get to 4th year, I want you to remember what you just told yourself today. I said, because you're going to get to 1st year.
It's going to feel the same way like you're in grade 9.
The same way like you were in grade 9. But it's true. And the fact of the matter is, you talk about parenting in these days, the pressure on our young people today is unlike anything I would have felt at their age.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we underestimated it a little bit too. I underestimated it a little bit too, out of the naivety of, I've been there. But the reality is I've been there, but it was very different.
100%.
And I think there's a much deeper level of complexity that you need to be open to understanding. Because I think at surface, you always think that, I've also been in school. Yeah. I know what it's like, but it's a lot more complicated today, I feel.
They're juggling so many things all at once. And it's not to say that generations before them weren't, but it's all very public.
Yeah.
And it's all very connected to everybody else, even around the world. And that adds a layer that you have to unpeel that's really deep.
Yeah.
And so to listen to where they are in their moment at this time is probably the greatest gift we can give any young person, whether you're parenting, whether it's a niece or nephew, whether it's a friend, whether you're an educator, is just to pause for a moment to understand where they're in.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same as it was for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't the same for me that it was for my parents who were teenagers at the end of a Second World War.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was like to grow up as a
Like that.
young person at the end of a war.
Yeah.
I have no clue what I still don't know what that's like,
Yeah.
right? My father served in Angola. And so I have no clue what his life was like and what that meant for him as a 20-year-old man when I was 20 and making decisions about, do I want to do my master's or do I want to just go to work?
Yeah. Those are very different decisions.
Very different decisions. Yeah. And so I think if we just can be present for the time that we are alongside young people, we serve them so much better. And our wisdom does actually translate.
Yes.
We just make different connections to it.
Yeah. No, I really love that. And you spent time at Dufferin Peel as well as a teacher.
Yes.
And I think that's also a very unique experience when I was reading a bit about it. And I wanted to know from your perspective, especially when we look at independent and public school system, what do you think we can learn from one another? Like, what do you think is something we could take away on both those sides?
I am very privileged. I will never take back the incredible years of my starting my career in Dufferin Peel and the students that I learned from and served. I always talk about the fact that, starting my career there, one of the greatest gifts those students gave me at the 3 different schools that I was able to teach at with Dufferin Peel was they taught me to see students first, before curriculum, before everything else. They taught me to see them.
Yeah.
And I had incredible conversations where I tried to teach things and they're looking at me, they're like, we don't care, right? Like literally they would sit in your face and go, I actually don't care about this. Like, do you actually think I'm listening to you? I don't care about this. And it's not that they didn't respect me. I actually didn't take the time to come to know them. And so I taught out of the book. And I was young in my career. I taught out of the lesson plan.
Yeah.
I taught out of whatever was handed to me from the teacher before that in order to make sure that I could cover stuff.
Yeah. You didn't take too many risks or try and change it.
Or to try to stop and say, okay, I know the curriculum. All right. Let me just talk to my students about this. What do they understand about the concepts of war? Right. I had students who were involved in gangs, so their concepts of war were really real.
Yeah.
And how can I make connections to that? Or I was teaching urban geography and I had a student who was passionate about skateboarding. We ended up teaching the whole unit through skateboard parks.
Oh, wow.
All the way across the Dufferin Peel region. And how do you map and how do you plan and where do you need elevations? Yeah. But it was so much more meaningful for them if I could just connect it to who they were, what was going on in their life, what they were passionate about. Because our curriculum is just a tool.
Yeah.
It's not the end all and be all. It's our students making meaning about life and those concepts and being able to connect them and use them to do something with it.
Absolutely.
And so if I could connect with them first, then it would make more sense to them. So I will forever be grateful to those students who are courageous enough to question me and say, do you actually think I care about this?
Yeah.
Because not too many students have the courage to do that.
Absolutely. That made you question the approach too.
It did. It actually made me question, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Is this really why I'm here? Is just to go through books or through these pages or through this content? It's actually not why I'm here. I got into this profession because I wanted to change the lives of young people. I wanted to be part of that. I wanted them to see themselves.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing that. I was being a hypocrite, actually.
Yeah.
I was being a hypocrite of everything that I wanted to do. Right. But what that taught me was to listen and learn from them. The minute I came into the independent system, where you have the freedom to invest in your teachers, the freedom to try new things with the best tools, the latest technologies, the independent system taught me to be an amazing educator. Because now I was able to take what I understood about learning and that relationship between student, teacher, curriculum, the environment that I learned being in those classrooms where I had to really think hard about how can this connect to my students.
Yeah.
Then to come into a place where I had eager, amazing young learners who couldn't wait to try new things and do it. I then really got to be great at teaching and learning and my craft.
Yeah.
And that science of like, okay, if we try to do this way, you can explore even further. I got to bring experts in because I could connect students and we had the technology to connect students, 20 years ago and have them zoom in with experts from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Skype,
But you had
but I had the
ability to
tools.
do it.
I had the tools. These students had resources. They had laptops. We could collaborate with students all over the world and didn't have to wait for a letter to come back.
Yeah. So taking advantage of that too, right?
It actually allowed me to dream about what school and learning could look like in a way that I hadn't been able to before. And so what it did is these two experiences have given me the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
It truly did. And I cherish both equally, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I hadn't lived both experiences.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And could you share, like, if there's one piece of advice you'd give throughout your different roles? So one piece of advice as a teacher, one piece of advice as a deputy head, and then as a head of school. What's one piece of advice you'd give to folks in that role today?
Know your community. Know those that you serve. We are all in service.
Right.
We're in it because everything we do as human beings is relational.
Right.
We have a relationship with the environment. We have a relationship with each other. We have a relationship with the tangible things in our lives, the ideas we think. So take the time to come to know those who you are in relationship with. Know your students, know the adults you're in service to, know the families, because the minute you know them, your work will be driven to meet them.
Right.
And not just about, I've got to get this off my list. I've got a checklist. I've got to get this done. I've got a checklist. That's not meaningful, but it's actually not meaningful for us as leaders as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's disconnected.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's always about pay attention to the relationships, come to know those that you serve, because when you do that, your work will actually matter.
And you would feel a lot more meaning.
Yeah, and it matters to you as much as it matters to them, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I really loved that I think is on your LinkedIn, if I'm not wrong, it says, the power of personalized learning is not in what we teach or how we teach, but from deeply knowing and understanding who we teach, which I think goes to a lot of what you're saying around the community and the importance of getting to know the people, you sitting down with every grad, that's time. That's effort, but it's
best time I've ever spent.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, I can't come to the meeting. Oh,
no, I can't come in with the grads, actually. Thank you.
Yeah. Good excuse too to get you through, a long time.
Well, and the joy those conversations bring. That is I wrote that, we've been, I think the whole world is trying to understand, how do you make learning more meaningful? Schools have been transactional. They've been set up to teach to the middle.
Right.
You get it. You don't, you don't. And so in many ways, many elements of them have been transactional. What we're seeing in the world right now is that they're not transactions, that learning isn't just this exchange of, I gave you this, so now you regurgitate it back on the test.
Yeah.
It's more, we're in a state right now where we're trying to understand learning, not only about being personalized, but being transformative, being connected to, being in relation to. And so when I wrote this article about personalized learning, it had come after much research around, you can have, a chatbot that tells you exactly what you need as you're working through your problems, because, the algorithm can pick up where your errors are.
Yeah.
But that doesn't actually mean that you care about the math that you're studying.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't actually mean that you care enough about the concepts that you're uncovering or the problems that you're solving. And so until you know, especially as educators, the student that's in front of you, that learner's passions, the things they're curious about, the work they've already done, what they're contributing to in this world, what they're bringing to that table, then you actually aren't really personalizing anything to them.
Interesting.
Because it's not them who owns it and them who's driving it.
Right.
And so know your students first.
Yeah.
What gets them curious? What gets them passionate? They might be solving problems for NASA, for all you know.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you give them this rudimentary problem, and they're like, God, like, really? Okay, here you go. Here's my answer.
Just because you didn't ask. You weren't curious enough.
Yeah. You didn't ask. So come into your relationships curious.
Absolutely.
Because for you, all you know is that child, that young person could be teaching you something amazing, which is always the case, actually.
Yeah.
That there's something learned, that when you come to know, you learn something, not only about yourself, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've uncovered something about this amazing human being that's in front of you.
And you feel more connected.
And it transforms the learning relationship. Because now you go out and say, okay, fine, I've got to teach, this concept about aerodynamics, but I know this kid wants to be a pilot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a problem that can connect those two things.
Mm.
I know this young woman is passionate about human rights. Perfect. The problem I'm going to give her in order for us to do this law project is going to be about, international relations or the demise
Related
of human rights or one of the, sustainable development goals. All of a sudden,
The shift,
how you leverage your curriculum becomes all that much more meaningful because it's in relation to the human who has to explore it, understand it, make meaning of it, do something with it because you're going to ask them to do something with it.
Yeah.
It just becomes all that much more meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, you're making the curriculum, you're designing it for them,
100%.
right? Rather than their learning being designed by the curriculum. It's sort of
Exactly.
flipping the charts over there.
Exactly.
I love that. Helen, I could probably talk to you all day, but I've got to move on out of respect for time. But we're going to move on to what we call the final question here. So a bit of a tradition, we have our previous guests leave questions for you. I don't know, maybe I'll ask you too if I find it interesting. But we'll ask a question from one of our previous guests and then get you to leave a question for one of our next guests as well. If that's okay with you. Okay, let's see. I'm going to find the question that I saved for you, which there's so many now.
Oh my God.
I can really ask you anything. Okay,
just go easy on me.
Okay. Well, it's not my question, so if you have problems with it, you could take it to the person.
You'll have to let me know who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this question is from Leanne Foster, principal at UTS. Her question is, what is one thing you need to stop doing in order to be a better leader?
So that's actually a great question. And the pause is really for me to just choose one thing. There's a list of things I need to stop doing. I need to know.
Right.
I'm a person that really needs to know. And I realize that one of my shortcomings is that if I don't know, I don't feel, confident in myself to be able to just respond, to just act. And we're constantly acting and responding as leaders in the moment.
Yeah.
But because I need to know, I'm constantly studying, I'm constantly asking for information. I'll constantly go to my team and say, okay, what happened? How did it happen? Can you guys just debrief me? And so I could be very annoying for my amazing team of leaders who are fabulous. And so that often feels like, oh my God, how many questions is she going to ask? So I think at some point, for one of the things, there's two things that I'm going to highlight is my pursuit to know, that desire to know, to fulfill my own insecurity is something that I have to deal with myself and not actually burden everybody else with. Because it's an insecurity that's mine. The other thing is I'm horrible at delegation. I have watched incredible leaders who work alongside me who are brilliant at knowing when they need to do it and when someone else needs to do it.
Yeah.
I have not mastered that yet. And that is a skill that really great leaders do so well.
Right.
And that's an area that for me, I need to continuously work at and be mindful of.
Yeah.
And I think it goes hand in hand with that, that insecurity of not knowing and not being able to do. I think part of that, I think they feed one another in myself and who I am as a human being.
Yeah.
Because that needing to know from okay, did that happen? How did it happen? So that I can deal with it also comes with, not being able to relinquish doing something in order, a power or responsibility or just doing the task yourself because it's easier. And sometimes it's actually not easier because they can actually do it better, faster.
But I feel that way too sometimes.
It's a tension.
Like,
it is a tension.
I can just do it myself.
Yeah.
Or I want to do it myself. Or, I think it's something I struggle with, I think so as well, is just like being able to say, you know what, let's pass this on, right? Let's give and one thing that at least has helped me is saying that you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them.
Yeah.
So you delegating is not making your life easier necessarily. It's helping them make theirs better.
100%.
And I think it's absolutely. So it's something I struggle with too. I don't think there's an answer to it. But
that's brilliantly said, actually. Your reflection there is brilliantly said. And I think those are things that I know about myself that if I could continuously work at and just be intentional to get better at and relinquish some of that, I think I would lead a I'd be a better leader alongside those who lead with me.
No, I appreciate that reflection.
Yeah.
It's very honest.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get you to leave a question now, Helen, for one of our next guests. You don't know who it is, so
Okay.
I'll bring up your question when it feels.
Okay. This was tough. I'm going to ask two questions. One, I was asked my very first job interview at Dufferin Peel by my principal.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And I have never forgotten it.
Yeah?
And I now know why, especially as retirement gets closer and closer, I now know why he asked the question.
Okay.
And the question that was asked of me is, what do you want written on your tombstone 100 years from now when your time has passed and you've left this profession?
Huh. That's a very tough question. I hope I don't have to answer it, at least not right.
And at that time, I looked at him, 23 years old, and I'm like, what? What are you asking me about my tombstone? I'm 23. I'm sorry, I haven't thought about my tombstone. Actually, I tried to make a joke out of it. I'm like, I haven't thought about my tombstone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know why. I do know today, I do know why he asked me that. Because if we know what we want, how we want to be remembered, then we carefully curate our stories.
I love that. Yeah.
At least for me,
thinking backward,
his question 26 years later, still sticks with me.
Wow.
Because I'm like, how do I want to be remembered? What am I leaving behind everywhere?
And then
that
mentally,
I go?
every decision you make, the way you behave, the way you interact, you remind yourself of that. Wow.
Of that. And the other question I have that I'm still struggling with, I don't know that I have an answer, is how do you know your impact? How will you know your impact?
Wow. That's a really tough one too. Both very difficult questions, but beautiful questions.
Those are the questions that I leave you with and the next guest.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, spending some time. Helen, I could generally talk to you all day, but I think I'll get kicked out of here at some point. But thank you so much.
We'll go for lunch now.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. I think this was a lovely, lovely conversation. I got to learn so much about you, and I am really grateful that you spent some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and for the reflections and for the great questions. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you.